What's up everybody, True Evil here, and today we're going to be going over all the gacha games that are going to release in February and March that I think are worth checking out. There will be pre-registration links in the description for all these games, and I'm going to go through them, not necessarily the ones I'm looking forward the most to the least, but by release date. So the first games that are going to be coming up are the ones I'm going to talk about first. So without further ado, let's talk about the first game, which is Abyss Dia, which is coming out on February 27. It's going to be a chain action RPG, aka similar combat to games like Genshin Impact, Wuthering Waves, Arknight's Infield. But the selling point for this game over those is that, well, it's not going to be open world and no mint picking. Personally, this is a huge plus for me because I hate mint picking, and although I do like open world games, after a week or two I've pretty much explored everything, got all the collectibles, and the open world is kind of a detriment because it just makes dailies take way longer when I'm just trying to get my juice and log out. And that means I have to spend a lot more times, and it's just going to burn me out quicker. This game's not going to have that problem, and if the combat is really strong, it's definitely going to be a game that you're going to be wanting to have and just play every day because it's just going to be a whole lot of fun if that's what you like in games like that. The thing that is a little bit skeptical for me with this game is if you look at the assets, especially like this character Ruby here, I was just like, this looks kind of familiar. So I asked my friend on Discord, and my friend who plays a bunch of blockchain NFT games was like, oh yeah, these are the same assets from a game called Stella Fantasy. Now, that is sort of a red flag because, well, reused assets are always a red flag, but I looked into it, and what this game is doing is, although they are taking those assets, they're elevating them, making them look a lot nicer than they previously did, and just polishing it up. So, maybe the NFT game wasn't the best, and this game is just going to be a reskin gacha version of it that plays way better. I'm personally fine with that, and I'm definitely going to give this game a chance. But if it is dog water, we're going to be moving on really quick. But expect a couple of days worth of videos from this at the very least, and at the most, well, this might be a really good game to cover. So definitely checking this out. Be sure to pre-register it in the description, and I'm going to make a video a day or two before it comes out to remind you guys, just in case if you forget to pre-register. So let's move on to the next game, which doesn't have a release date yet, but I do believe it's going to come out in early March. This is the only game on this list that we don't have a definite release date yet, which is Heaven Hells. Now, you might have seen a release date for February 4th. This was for its Korea launch, and we're going to know in the next week or two how that reception for this game is going to be, but I assume it's going to be positive because everything about this game looks great, to the combat, to the visuals, pretty much everything. This is definitely a game I want to check out and cover on the channel, at least for a little while until the next game that really just wows me. So I am really looking forward to this game. It does have some fan service goonery stuff, and if that's not your cup of tea, you might want to skip this, but personally it's definitely a lot better than like some games that are just like way too blatant with it, like Dragon Traveler, which if you have a cutscene of that and someone looks over your shoulder, they're going to go, what the heck are you looking at? Not so much with this game, in my opinion. Everything looks good. It just looks great. I'm definitely going to be covering it, and you should definitely try it out. There'll definitely be at least a week where I check this game out and make videos for it, but because there is a ton of games coming out in March, I can't guarantee this is the game I'm going to cover in the channel, and the next game is most likely the game I'm going to be covering for the long term, which is Star Savior. On March 19th, we're getting Star Savior, and this game looks phenomenal in my personal opinion because it just has so much of what I like in gacha games. It has RTA in it, which I personally like PvP gacha games. You might hear the words PvP gacha and cringe because, sometimes it is really cringe on games. But the thing is they're making it so you don't have to interact with that PvP game mode if you don't want. It's just an added sugar on the top, and personally I'm going to be streaming this game for sure, so looking forward to doing that. But this game has some just like developmental things that I think make it superior than the last PvP gacha game that I can think of in recent memory, which is that the actual progression through the game isn't going to feel like an absolute slog. It's going to be similar to things like Nikke Goddess of Victory and Lost Sword, with that sort of like idle, just like progression. And I personally like that. I don't want to slog through a game for 10 hours every day for a while to get to PvP, and this is just going to be a lot easier to do and generally more fun. So looking forward to that. And this is also going to have that Idolmaster Uma Musume sort of like development. It's kind of like EV training, but it's going to be like a simplified version of those. So if you're cringing at hearing like it's going to have like training like Uma Musume, don't worry about it. It's going to be a simplified version. It's just going to be fun, casual, and definitely going to be able to just get everything that you need and want. So don't worry about it being too difficult. Just enjoy the moment. Everything in this game is going to come together to make a really quality product, in my opinion, and I'm definitely going to be giving this game a huge try. Now, the thing is this game did have a rocky launch in December on that Korea side, but the thing is, they fixed all those things, so hopefully the March 19th release, they release the game as the we fixed all the problems and not release it as they released it in Korea. But, you know, sometimes they do things like that. For example, Persona 5 The Phantom X, they like changed the gacha system to be a lot better, and they didn't release that immediately on global, and that, well, made a lot of people mad. So hopefully they don't do that, but you know, we'll find out March 19th, and if they do make it into that greedy version on the original launch, well, I'll be definitely complaining about it, but hopefully not have to do it, and this game is going to be amazing. Definitely worth trying out. On March 26th, we're going to get Mongol Stardive, which is going to be sort of Netmarble's take on Genshin Impact. And the combat is going to be a little bit more in the vein of like solo leveling Arise, which had a really great combat system. The hub sort of reminds you of Mondstadt, and the character models are definitely a little bit more on the bustier side than the Genshin Impact game. And the character that you get for pre-registering definitely makes it so you should pre-register, which is this cat girl nurse. So definitely worth pre-registering for this game. Giving it a shot. I don't know how great it's going to be. There is going to be sort of like this Pokemon like collecting for monsters, like this little cat. If that's really fun, that's going to hook me. That's going to be the main draw for this game, in my opinion. So, going to give it an effort, but there's going to be like a bazillion of these type of games coming out this year, which is going to be another Netmarble game that's going to be sort of similar, but in a different vein, which is going to be Seven Deadly Sins, which will be the last game we talk about. Now, Seven Deadly Sins Origin is sort of a red flag for some people because they don't like it when a gacha game is based off an IP, because sometimes it means, well, that game is going to suck. Case in point, the One Punch Man gacha was pretty much one of the worst gacha games of all time. But this game, they're really trying for it. The last beta, they got a ton of feedback instead of just like not listening to the feedback and just being like, release it, let's ball. They're like, we're going to push this game back and we're going to really mesh this game and make it a high quality product. So they're taking their time, listening to the feedback, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how they release the game on March 31st. Personally, I really liked the beta. So if they pushed it back to make it better, I'm all for it, and it's probably going to be a good time. I'm definitely going to be playing this game for at least 2 weeks, and I'm definitely going to cover it. I personally liked the Seven Deadly Sins, especially its last type of gacha game with Grand Cross. So, I'm a fan of the gacha. The anime is okay. I wouldn't say it's like one of the like creme de la crepe animes for me personally, but it was an enjoyable experience. Gonna check it out. Escanor is cool. Really like Greed. There's gonna be a lot of stuff in this game, and I'm trying it out. Another Netmarble game, but they're really listening to the feedback and they're trying to make this a high quality product, and I hope it is. And that's going to be it. Those are all the games coming out in February and March that I think are worth checking out. Pre-registration links are going to be in the description, as well as I'll make a video a day or two before all of these games launches. So if you forget to pre-register, well, you'll have that reminder. So be sure to hit that subscribe button to make sure you get that reminder, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.